Aap Saab, we are basically here to talk of Ahmad Parvez's contribution to art in Pakistan. What one has heard of Ahmad Parvez, you know, the sort of Vesuvian blasts, I mean the kind of behavior he often demonstrated at exhibitions, and he seems to have welcomed you as a student into his studio.
So I frequently went to Mr. Ahmad Parvez's studio. He was wearing his red kurta, and then he took out his kurta and started cutting it with a pair of scissors. The neck part of it, he cut it out and then put it on the canvas. He always wanted me to come there, sit with him. He enjoyed people coming to watch him work. When he was working, he was very nice. He was busy. He enjoyed colors. Off days, he used to go around getting towards friends and getting some money to get the pawa. But some people...
What exactly is pawa?
Pawa used to be local Scotch.
Can you please tell us something about the context in which Ahmad Parvez was working? The fact that his art is about his colors. He used color for expression, for form, and to articulate his own personality.
As a colorist, he never was afraid of using vibrant and bold colors. He would use yellows and reds and mauves and violet.
But very spontaneously, it seems. You know, there is this burst of color.
Intuitively, colors. It just used to come to him.
Did he think through the way he was going to use color, or did he just immediately sort of...
No, he used to think.
Was it an epiphany of sorts?
No, he used to think. For instance, he put a blue on some part of the canvas, and then he would not suddenly take a red or something else and use it. He would perhaps take a cigarette, smoke a cigarette, look at the painting, go back, and then look at the colors. He was not a very fast painter. But later on in life, he used to finish the paintings quickly.
There is an edginess in his work, you know?
Yes.
You know, that sort of, that nucleus from which color will burst out at, you know, any moment.
That only happened with Ahmad Parvez. And he was always volatile. He had
there is
so
that
much
volatility which is resident in his work as well.
Yes, he had, I think, extra energy. He would walk for miles. He never took a rickshaw. He would come from Indus Gallery to my house in KDA, walking.
I mean, they say it's very difficult for an adult painter to paint like a child.
Very difficult.
Ahmad Parvez indeed managed that, you know, sort of with great panache.
There was a child inside him. You could feel it, you could see it. The way he behaved, especially when he was totally angry. He used to cry sometimes. One time I remember when not many paintings were sold on the first opening day. So he got mad, and then he went out and he started urinating the door of the gallery, Indus Gallery, and he raised an objection and he then went away.
But what was the kind of reception that Ahmad Parvez's work got in the artistic environment that he was working? Was this acceptable work at that time?
He was known as the art jeweler of Pakistan.
And there is that sense of jewelry, that detail.
Especially in his miniature type of work, the small paintings. I remember at PACC in 1975, he had a big exhibition. He sold practically everything there. Those days, 28,000 rupees was a good package. He got cash and he said, let's go. So I went with him. Well, he said, stop here, stop here, stop here. He bought a camera, he bought a radio, transistor, and then he said, let's go now to the pub. His pubs were open those days on Tariq Road. All his friends were there. He said, drinks on the house.
Okay, so he was a generous one.
He was very generous when he had money with him. But it finished very soon.
Mostly the case.
When he was short of money, he sold the camera, he sold the watch, he sold everything. In England, I remember he telling me once that he went to a gallery where a big exhibition at the West End was on, and he was not let in because it was a preview. So he started shouting at the gate, please let me in, I'm Van Gogh of Pakistan. If you don't let me in, I'll take off my clothes.
Okay.
So he was that sort of a person. He used to threaten.
And did he proceed to do that?
No, they let him in.
Okay.
They let him in. Thereafter, he came to Pakistan in the 60s and had a studio at the Taj Hotel on Kacheri Road, where Bashir Mirza's gallery used to be close by also. He had a very good exhibition there. That's where he met cabaret artist Rico. a Japanese.
Whom he proceeded to marry, right?
Yes, he married her and then he went to United States, to New York. In Karachi, his last 9 years were full of colors, but not the 3 years in New York. This is his New York painting.
Okay. This is something you picked up from New York?
Yes, New York, in 1967 or 68.
Was anyone painting the way he did?
At that time, there was one English artist by the name of Alan Davey. Ahmad Parvez used to tell me that Alan Davey used to
Learn from Ahmad.
lift his forms and his colors.
Because the popular contention is that Ahmad Parvez looked at Alan Davies' work and adopted that style. And so it's obviously a blemish on his originality.
In some paintings, they're very close, but in others, he's moved away, far away from Alan Davey. When there is a close association, or you look at somebody's work, there is definitely some influence on your own work, which comes into play automatically.
We have here a balcony full of Wahab Jafar's work from different stages in his life. And you see the influence of color, of form, from the work of Ahmad Parvez. We see Wahab Jafar come in and out of that sphere of influence. Something like the flower vase out here is directly referencing Ahmad Parvez's work. But the face that we have here is obviously sort of records the distance that he has traveled from that influence.
Well, there has to be influence, and I'm not ashamed of it. Especially influence of Ahmad Parvez, because I spent 9 years with him. If I'm painting like Parvez and the forms are coming, I don't stop there.
The process.
No, I don't. I'll let it go as it is, because I go back into time also and think of these great artists.
And the past is something that we can never forget.
No,
I mean, we can deny it all we like, but it does permeate our system.
I can never forget the past. What you see in the other work, the faces, perhaps there is some attachment to Bashir Mirza's faces, I don't know.
And yet your faces are very benign compared to Bashir Mirza's, you know.
His was very strong faces.
His were very strong. I mean, they were very proud faces. You know, the kind of face that sort of almost looks down on you. Yours are far more placid, far more benign.
No, academically he was a better artist as far as his sketches, his portraiture is concerned.
This is one of those accidents of history, you know. The scion of a business house walks into Indus Gallery and has painted every day, starting 71, and we're talking 2008.
Almost every day.
Almost every day, and is the happier for it. I mean, that's the important part.